Welcome to the Explainer. Today we are diving into the wild journey of a developer who went from being completely burned out to building a global phenomenon, all by teaming up with AI. This is one of those stories that really, truly changes the game for what it means to be a builder today.
I mean, this is what people were saying about a project called OpenClaw. It felt like it just appeared out of thin air and completely took the developer world by storm. I'm talking major publications, the whole deal. It was clear that something really special was going on. And this number, it just shows you the frenzy. 1,000 people. That's how many folks showed up to the very first ClawCon in San Francisco. And the craziest part, the project was only a few weeks old at the time. That's the kind of passionate community that most projects, spend years trying to build. But, like most of these overnight successes, this one was actually years in the making. It didn't just pop out of some easy moment of inspiration. Nope. This was born from some serious burnout and eventually rediscovering that joy of just building stuff. So the guy behind OpenClaw, Peter Steinberger, he'd already had a huge career win. He built a successful company, sold it, the whole 9 yards. But after 13 years, he was just done, completely burned out. So he took a break. And when that itch to build came back, he hit a wall. All his expertise was in one area. And, well, the tech world had kind of moved on without him. And that's the key thing here. When he first started hearing about tools like ChatGPT, sure, it was interesting, but it didn't really click, It's like reading about this new tech is one thing, but actually feeling its power, that's something else entirely. For him, it just hadn't landed yet. And then came the experiment that changed everything. I mean, this was that aha moment. This is where the whole idea of AI went from being some abstract concept to a real powerful partner in the building process. Okay, so what he did was, he took this project that he'd completely stalled out on, when he'd burned out on, he literally just dumped every single file into one massive text document. Then he gave an AI one simple command, build. And then he told it, hey, use this testing tool to check your own work. He just left it running on a side screen. And an hour later, the whole thing actually worked. It was functional. And this wasn't just, a technical win. It was a huge personal breakthrough. For the first time, all those things that hold you back as a solo builder, time, complexity, all of it, it felt like they just melted away. His mind just exploded with all the things he'd always wanted to build but couldn't. So yeah, that aha moment, it wasn't just some cool party trick. It led to a complete top-to-bottom transformation of his entire workflow. Seriously, he unlocked a level of productivity that would have seemed like science fiction just a year before.
And look, you don't have to take my word for it. The proof is right here in his GitHub activity. It tells the whole story. See this? The first half of the year, just some spotty, light green activity. But the second half? Whoa, a solid wall of dark green. We're talking over 90,000 contributions once he really leaned into this new way of working.
He has a name for this. He calls it Agentic Engineering. And the whole philosophy is a massive shift. Think about it. You go from being the person who painstakingly writes every single line of code to being more like a director. You're just having a conversation with this super smart AI coworker, guiding what it's trying to do, and then trusting it to handle the details. And this idea completely changed how he handles his open source work. He doesn't even call them pull requests anymore. He calls them prompt requests. The goal isn't to nitpick a contributor's code line by line, it's to understand their intent. Like, what problem are you really trying to solve? And once he gets that, he just tells his AI agent to build the best possible solution. So he took this powerful new workflow and used it to create OpenClaw, which is this personal AI agent, kind of like a true digital sidekick. And the way this thing actually developed, well, it was just as surprising and unpredictable as the process that built it. Here's one of the most mind-blowing examples of what this agent could do, and it happened completely by accident. Peter was just using the agent in a chat app, and on a whim, he sent it a quick voice message. Okay, but here's the thing. He never programmed it to handle audio. At all. There was zero code for that. The agent should have just errored out. But a few moments later, it replied with a perfect transcription of his voice message. So, what just happened? The agent actually explained what it did. It figured out, hey, this is an audio file. Then it found a tool already on the computer to convert it. After that, it found an OpenAI API key that Peter had just lying around in his system files. It used another tool to send the converted file off to get transcribed, and then boom, it sent the text back. It solved a problem it had never seen before by just using the tools it had at its disposal, just like a person would.
And this kind of resourcefulness just kept happening. Later on, he put the agent in a sandboxed environment where it didn't have its usual tools. And it didn't just give up. It literally built its own, janky version of a tool it needed from scratch. And it worked. This proves it's not just following orders, it's actually solving problems creatively.
So what's the big takeaway here? What does all this mean for you? Well, Peter's journey isn't just some cool story. It's basically a roadmap for any of us who want to build things in this new age of AI.
And his advice is super simple, really. First, just play with it. Don't try to force it into your old ways of doing things. Second, use this as your chance to finally build that one passion project you've always been thinking about. Because the most important thing to get is that things are just easier now. What was impossible for one person a year ago is totally achievable today.
Look, this isn't just about making developers a little bit faster. This is about giving individual creators the power to have a massive impact. That huge gap that used to exist between having an idea and having a real working thing, it just got a whole lot smaller. So the real question this whole story leaves us with is, what are you gonna build? There's a saying that goes around, you're not going to be replaced by AI. You're going to be replaced by someone who uses AI. And that's really what this is all about. It's not about replacement. It's about making us better, faster, more creative. It's a huge shift. And Peter's journey just shows that the ones who are going to win are the ones who learn to team up with these tools. The time to start learning and start building is right now.